Hey everyone, we are back with another Penny Dreadful review. Tonight reviewing Season 2, Episode 4, Evil Spirits in Heavenly Places. If you're not all the way caught up on Penny Dreadful, you really probably want to skip this video because we're going to super spoil it. My opinion, this was the best episode of the season so far.
It was a really, really good episode.
Yeah.
This show is just, it's really, really good. Like, it's one of the best shows out there right now.
Yeah. It's, I think it probably rivals Game of Thrones for sure.
Well, you know, right now it's totally better than Game of Thrones, but, you know.
And it's inching up to be in my top 3 favorite shows on television right now. Easily my top 3. The episode starts off and our heroes are deciphering the puzzle of the Verbis Diablo. The priest who wrote down what the devil was telling him while he was in incarceration / isolation or whatever. And they're slowly starting to put it together.
Yeah, apparently the priest who did the writing just wrote down whatever the evil spirit within him was telling him. So it's actually in different languages. So like there's Latin in there, there's Greek in there, there's
Aramaic,
there's Sumerian.
I think he said there was some Indian in there.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of dead languages from what I gathered. And each artifact has just a little snippet of the story. And they have to not only translate each one of these, they then have to figure out which order all of these artifacts go and how that tells the story.
And that was so interesting. The whole episode could have just been them piecing it together, and it would have been really cool. Because you find out, kind of in the beginning of the episode, that it's not just a key to the Verbis Diablo, it is Lucifer's memoir.
Yeah, it's his autobiography.
Yeah, and not only that, it's an ongoing memoir, so it tells of the past, it tells of the present, and maybe it tells of the future, which is very disturbing for Vanessa because it might include her in these prophecies or whatever.
Yeah.
Which she kind of rails against. She's like, no, does it say anything about a woman? Does it say anything about me? So she's very much, I don't know, frightened.
Yeah, I think she's scared that she is in it.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't want to deal with that.
And I think she probably intuitively knows that she is in it, but she doesn't want to accept that just yet. And we also get a scene with the agent from Scotland Yard going over that crime scene in the rail car where the husband and wife were murdered and the baby was stolen. And he's kind of onto things. He knows that things aren't necessarily in the realm of real right now.
Yeah, he kind of hints that...
He thinks it's magic.
Yeah, because he's like, 2 people were killed with surgical precision. The lights flickered off and then back on, and they're both dead, and the baby's gone, and nobody saw anybody leave. How is this even possible?
There's 0 evidence. Nobody heard the baby crying. You know.
Yeah.
So he's putting it together slowly. And he goes to interview Mr. Roper, who, of course, was defaced by Ethan at the end of last season, when Ethan went full werewolf on his ass.
Yeah, and this is interesting because Mr. Roper is not giving them any information
0
whatsoever. He's like, I don't remember. And is he protecting Ethan? Or does he really not remember? And I think he's protecting Ethan because he's paid from his father. And I imagine that this is kind of like part of the job is he can't have him being arrested and such. I think he's going to finish his job once he gets out of there.
I don't know if he's on orders from... First of all, perhaps he knows that Ethan is a werewolf, because I'm sure Ethan's dad has to know.
Maybe.
Well, who knows, maybe. But whether he's on orders to keep Ethan's secret, if he's aware of it, or whether or not he doesn't remember, or whether or not he's just lying because he wants to keep the bounty for himself.
Or maybe he wants revenge.
Right. So either way, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Roper's lying.
Yeah, me too.
The curator of the Wax Museum, this guy, he seems more and more shady the more we see him.
Yes. At first I was excited. I thought, you know, finally John Clare is going to have a good job with good people, and it just doesn't seem like that's going to happen.
It seems like the museum curator, he has perhaps some people who would generally be in like a freak show or something like that. Like he's holding them in a separate part of the building, like holding them hostage and waiting to put them on display, probably against their own will, that kind of thing. And oh my gosh, pity this man when John Clare / Caliban finds out, because he likes to punch through people.
Yeah, this guy is definitely, like he had even mentioned, it would be 2 shows, and one would be his wax murder scenes, and the other one would be them in the basement, which I assume he means the freaks. His words, not ours.
Yeah.
And offering people like a discount if they buy tickets to both shows, and
it's kind of like the Disney 4-day pass.
Yeah.
It's only, it's to the creepy ass wax museum.
Yeah. And we found out something else that was really interesting. I just assumed that the curator of the wax museum was the guy who carved all the sculptures, and apparently it's his blind daughter.
Yeah.
She just feels the faces and then carves them. So, I mean, how is the wax museum not doing good because a blind girl is carving these? Because that's pretty amazing.
All they had to do was bring people down there and watch her carve this stuff. Like, look, she's blind, she can't see a thing, but look she's an amazing artist. And there you go, you're in the black again.
Yeah.
So this guy's a terrible businessman.
Yeah.
And an asshole too.
And Caliban, John Clare, has a little conversation with the blind daughter, and I think he's gonna fall for her. Because she can kind of see him in a way that nobody else can, because she can't see.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it takes away that external stereotype that people have of judging a book by its cover, and that's how people judge him, and she is judging him solely based on him. So I think he is going to fall for her because she is just a genuinely good person.
And Caliban this season so far, John Clare / Caliban, so far this season has had 2 exchanges with very lovely women who treated him like a human being. And he's totally not used to that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, he can find some semblance of peace within himself, given that he's encountering these people who are accepting of him. But then, of course, you got the museum curator who has very sketchy ideas.
He's going to knock it all down.
Yeah, so I feel really bad for Caliban. I really hope Vanessa incorporates him into her little team of monster busters.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, I want to see him incorporated into that story. So Ethan's out walking the streets, and we see the nightcomers, 3 of the nightcomers out there, the daughters, and they have obviously some kind of scheme going on, and they cause this horse to just...
Start stampeding, I guess.
They stab it in the butt, and it takes off, and the 3rd night sister walks out in front of it, and of course Ethan, being a good Samaritan, saves her. And she proceeds to flirt with and try to seduce him, and fails miserably.
Yes, because she didn't do her research. It's like she just assumed that all of America is the same, and that she can do an accent that's not from where she says she grew up, and mention an area, and then mention the state it's in, and it be wrong, and him not get that. I don't, why would she not do her research? And she totally messes it up. He calls her out on it, and of course he thinks it's his father sending her after him.
He thinks that she's a Pinkerton, like, hey, if the Pinkertons are taking women now, good for them, but hey, go tell my dad to fuck off.
Yeah, this ain't happening.
So what I thought was really interesting was her conversation with Evelyn after that, and she lied and said, he smelled me. And no, he totally just deduced that she wasn't on the up and up. So I don't know what's going to come about from that.
I think she was covering her ass. She was like, I messed up. I didn't do enough research. I'm not saying that. So, he smelled me. He could smell that I wasn't an American.
Or wasn't entirely human.
Or perhaps that, yes.
Okay, so probably my favorite scene in the episode was one of the probably the lightest scene in the episode. Dr. Frankenstein and Vanessa go shopping.
Yes, for Frankenstein's cousin. His second cousin. He made sure that she knows it's his second cousin.
Yeah.
And he was embarrassed to be in there shopping, and Vanessa
just had fun with it.
She was rubbing that in his face, like, "Oh, how about this? It'll be nice and show off the a larger bust well. It'll complement a larger bust well, and you can't have clothing without undergarments." She was just making fun of him.
Really, really teasing him, which he deserves because he's kind of a dick. But I really enjoyed that scene. It's probably my favorite scene, just because it was a nice break in what was otherwise a very tension-filled episode. Another really interesting scene, and I really hope they incorporate Dorian Gray's story with Vanessa's story.
Yeah.
But right now, Dorian Gray, he's dating the transvestite.
Angelica.
Or
Angelique.
Angelique. And they go to play ping pong, which I guess it seems like this is kind of a new thing, ping pong. And he's really bad at it.
Yeah, he is. And she's really, really good at it. So she kicks his ass at it.
12 out of 12.
They just kind of back and forth talk. And that's about it. Like, I want this to somehow relate to Vanessa's story. Or at least have some sort of story of its own. Because right now it's kind of
I would really like to see those two stories intersect. I don't know how they would do that though.
It's almost like they wrote the whole entire season and we're like, oh shoot, we forgot Dorian. Let's just add this little love interest for him.
Which would be fine because it's a really interesting story.
It is,
but I do want to see at least Dorian intersect with Vanessa's primary story as other than just a booty call, which is all they've been so far.
Yeah.
Dr. Frankenstein and Lily, he comes back with the clothes and she tries them on and she's wearing, heels and a corset and she's complaining about how uncomfortable it is. And they have a very feminist conversation, which was kind of, refreshing given the time period this is set in.
She's just so new and hasn't been preconceived that this is how women are, that she's not questioning, well, why do I have to wear a corset? So everything us women do is for you men. We keep your house, we raise your children, can we not even be comfortable?
What I thought was really, really nice about this scene is in Brona's former life, she was a prostitute, so she was completely, beholden to men for her livelihood entirely. And now as Lily, she's not anymore, and she's kind of owning her own personhood. And I want to see that continue. Ethan goes back to the house and tells Vanessa about this encounter he had with what he thought was a female Pinkerton. But Vanessa deduces that it's actually one of the nightcomers.
Based on the name,
Hecate.
Hecate is the name that she gave him. And Vanessa was like, oh, she told you the wrong story. It's a goddess of the moon, and it has to do with witchcraft. And she had a much more in-depth explanation than that, but basically she deduced from the name that is probably a nightcomer that was trying to seduce him.
So Sir Malcolm and Ferdinand are still working on the Verbis Diablo puzzle, and the nightcomers have infiltrated the house, and they're all kind of camouflaged like chameleons, like they're standing up against walls and stuff, and they're just blending in like predators.
Yeah, kind of.
And Ethan's walking through, and this time he totally does smell them.
Yeah.
Whether it's, just the scent of unnaturalness, or maybe some of their perfume from their human state is lingering or something, but he knows...
Or maybe just a sixth sense, like his wolf could just sense somebody watching him, but like... Yeah.
So he pauses, and he's like... and he kind of shrugs it off, and he goes and works in the kitchen for a little bit, but then he comes back out, and he smells it again. And
this time he investigates it, but he goes to where she was, and she had since moved.
She switched walls.
Yeah, and then they all three of them were in there, and they all decide to attack at the same time.
There's one in the hallway who attacked Ethan. There's one in the drawing room who attacked Ferdinand and Sir Malcolm, and there's one in Vanessa's bedroom who attacks Vanessa.
Yes.
And Vanessa's really the only person in the whole house who holds her own against the nightcomers, and she's because she speaks the Verbis Diablo and kind of chases the one out of the room, but not before she grabs a lock of her hair.
Yes,
which is bad news for this voodoo doll.
Yes, I get the impression that is why they were there, was for a lock of her hair. Yeah. So they actually succeeded in their mission, because as soon as they got that, they all hightailed it out. But one of my favorite parts was Hecate saying, "How are these for suitable shoes?"
Right. And I think that covers just about everything from this episode. If we missed anything, let us know in the comments. If you're not watching Penny Dreadful, you seriously need to give it a try. It is a fantastic show.
Yes, don't just watch our reviews of it.
Yeah.
Watch the show. It's much better. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And on Saturdays, we do a Topic of the Week video. So If you have a topic you would like us to talk about, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be related to Penny Dreadful or anything else that we've done a video for. Leave that in the comments below, and we will look through all of them and choose the one that we think we can make the best video for, and that's the one we will post on Saturday.
Okay, thank you very much for watching. We will see you next time, which will be here in just a few minutes with our weekly Walking Dead video.